What happens to the radical left now? Now, I understand that it happened a little over a week ago, but of course, the topic of the Trump assassination attempt is still fresh in some people's minds, and quite frankly, it's not going to be going away. However, if you paid attention to the online news, or if you paid attention to, oh, I don't know, people's social media accounts, you have gotten a lot, and I mean a lot of different responses, ranging from Destiny not having any empathy to the firefighter that was killed, and people outright celebrating, and of course people also at the exact same time outright being upset because the assassin didn't do the job. You would probably think to yourself that these people are crazy. Well, guys, that is what we're going to be talking about in this video. Now, before we go any further, let me just go ahead and kind of remind you of some of the takes that were thrown out after the event.
Trump's been shot. When he got up, he was bleeding from the ear, but he seemed perfectly fine. He's not dead. He's fine. Like, my best guess, and this is just a guess because he was just shot, is that he was, it looked like a BB gun or something.
The firefighter guy, fuck Trump, fuck the people that support him. I just want you to know, okay, just in case you're confused or it seems like I'm, whatever. If one of you were in the crowd and you're a conservative fan of mine and you end up, getting blown away or whatever the fuck, I'm making fun of you the next day on Twitter.
As well as you saw
He's clip farming harder than the new crop of phase talent. He's like phase Ronaldo. He's clip farming harder than Jinxie. He keeps throwing up his fucking fist.
Been at many of these Trump rallies, and
It's
here's a look
over.
from one of our colleagues there on the ground, the photojournalists who are in the front row showing the blood on.
That right there is just a few. And of course, if you guys have been paying attention, you probably know about the situation involving Destiny. Of course, he went on Piers Morgan and doubled down on what he had said before, and things have gotten a lot worse for him. Now, I'm going to touch on that one briefly in this video, but I'm going to have a much more expansive video out on Tuesday about that. There's also going to be a video about the cancel culture issue because these people are now upset that people on the right are basically canceling people on the left. Well, let me just go ahead and say this, okay? As somebody who is not in favor of cancel culture, I still, at the exact same time, do not give a crap about how you feel at this moment in time being somebody who finds yourself getting canceled, because guess what? Voices on the right have been getting suppressed and fired for their jobs for a lot, and I mean a lot less. So, womp
You
womp.
think conservatives haven't been listening to a word that liberals have said about anything for 8 years?
Right,
what do you
but
think is
why
going to
should
change?
they?
You think
But
that if
here's my
liberals
point,
come out now
Destiny.
and they go, "Oh my God, this was so horrible,"
But
you
here's
think they're
my
going to go,
point.
"Wow, that is true." Maybe that's why they can do any of these things, and then liberals are
All right,
supposed to
Destiny.
say a president that led an insurrection against the United States. I'm not here to tone police over their empathy.
18
I'm just saying
million
that if you're
people
gonna ask
voted for
for
Donald
empathy,
Trump last time
I'm just
round.
saying, that's great. 80 million people voted for a guy that tried to insurrect the government, and it looks like they might try to do it again. I mean, like, I don't know what you want me to say. These are the facts on the ground. The idea that
So you don't like attacks on
Okay, so you guys obviously heard some of that. And of course, Piers Morgan, he would in fact respond. Now, before we go any further, I want you guys to know this right now. This video is not a video dedicated to the Piers Morgan Destiny exchange. It's not dedicated to that at all, even though some of the clips in the B-roll footage will feature some of that. And it'll also be there tomorrow as well. Tomorrow's video will be more along the lines to explain to everybody that anybody who thought that Destiny was the sane, rational liberal was absolutely 100% smoking some very good stuff, because quite frankly, he never has been. If you don't believe me, ask Lauren Southern, who went to bat to actually defend him back when Destiny got banned from, I think it was not Kick, because Kick wasn't around then. I want to say it was Twitch. She chose to stand in solidarity with him. Ever since that day, she's gotten worse and worse and worse, and I've lost more and more respect for her. But that right there is a different topic altogether. But still, though, given the things, given the stuff, and I mean given anything and everything that's happened, all the takes out there, you can't help but look at this person and say exactly what Piers said.
position, because I'm not a conservative. I'm not on either side in your race, right? Here's what I think about what you did. You'd like to fire off, as you've done so far in this debate, about your fury at how disgusting Republicans are, how inhumane they are, how they never have any empathy, blah, 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 blah. And then you yourself actually are exactly the person that you're describing. You are inhuman. You are somebody who seems almost gleeful that a young firefighter with a family, with a wife and children, who he was protecting as he was shot dead, that he deserved what was coming to him because he went to a President Trump rally, a man who was president of the United States until recently for 4 years and maybe again. You sound almost gleeful, Destiny, and I'm sorry. That makes you, frankly, despicable. But here's my problem, Destiny, with your whole position on this, right? Is that you don't actually have anything inside you that you want the other side to have. You don't have any of the empathy. You don't have any sympathy. You don't care that someone tried to assassinate Donald Trump. You don't care that a young fireman with a family was killed in the process. You don't actually. You are not the person you want these other people to be, and all you do is play whataboutery with every question I give you. And I'm just stuck.
I could think of different things to say. I could think of better words. I could think of better ways to handle people like this, or the right way to handle people like this. But of course, if I said it out loud, I probably would get the ban here on YouTube. Still, though, at the same time, though, this is the type of crap that we've been hearing. Now, I think it was Mentis Wave. I think it was him who made the point the other day that he felt that Destiny, for the most part, was kind of like the id of the left. He just so happens to say exactly what it is that these people are thinking at the time. Now, I want to go ahead and say this right now. One of the biggest reasons why it is that people think that Destiny is like the rational liberal over there, when in reality he's not a liberal at all. He's actually very, very much a leftist. I think one of the main reasons why it is that people think that that is the case is because the way he comes off, when in reality he's kind of a joke and kind of a fake way of coming off, because guess what? He's really not that different than a Wish.com version of Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro, of course, being the right's champion debater, which I can honestly tell you right now, I don't think he is the best debater on the right. But Destiny basically does the exact same thing that Ben Shapiro does, except from the left, and he talks really, really fast. However, if you actually go and watch the debate that he did on Lex Fridman's podcast with Ben Shapiro, you find out roughly an hour into that 3-hour-long debate that Destiny really and truly is kind of a joke when you actually boil it down. The person who's been beating him up the most in debates recently has been Rob Noah, mostly because Rob Noah uses the exact same tactics that Destiny does, and Destiny obviously cannot. Also, Destiny, for the most part, does a very good job of trying to mask. But of course, being able to mask the actual feelings that he has for conservatives, that mask has obviously fallen, and therefore you also get takes like this.
Right, who got shot out. Someone in the crowd that was just going to a rally who got fucking murked by this guy. And two others are in critical condition. I think it's okay to show a little empathy, don't you?
You're right. Hold on. I'm sorry. I didn't know somebody else died. What state was this in?
Pennsylvania. My state.
Swing state voter. Fuck you. Sorry, what?
Some people, by the way, think that he's just trying to be edgy, that he's joking. I'm here to tell you guys right now, this is who the hell he's always been. That video will be coming out tomorrow. It's already ready to go. But still, though, what happens to the radical far left? So the thing you got to understand about it is this here. When you've been working on a certain ideology, regardless of how bunk that ideology is, when you do something as vile or you celebrate an attempt on someone's life, you set your ideology back a good 10 to 20 years. Yes, I'm repeating something that Count Dankula said in one of his videos that I'll try to link in the description box, but here's the thing. He's not lying. You set your ideology back a good 10 to 20 years because now people see this and people then think that this is actually a violent ideology that you espouse. But I came across two separate YouTubers who were going on about a certain beef that I think kind of feeds into this narrative that the far left actually wants. So I want to go ahead and say it right now before we get started. Shout out to these channels. The Aristocratic Utensil, who I already listen to regularly anyway. That guy's phenomenal. He is a little bit misguided to a certain extent, but he is phenomenal. Romanian TV, who also has the channel called Lack of Entertainment. This guy is the guy who is in Romania, who understands exactly the left very, very well because, of course, he's lived behind the Iron Curtain before. And Ace 19, who also had a very good take on this as well, even though it was not the take on the assassination itself. It was more the take on another bad faith actor here on this platform. Now, yes, I said Destiny's a bad faith actor. Vosh is a bad faith actor. Hassan Piker is very, very much a bad faith actor. Jink Yinger is very, very much bad faith. However, there are those people out there who love to use the both sides shtick that are just as bad, if not worse in some cases, than the leftists are. And I think that this exchange that occurred, or at least this particular take that was on this other take, is very insightful on what exactly happens to the far left going forward. So what are we talking about? Well, if you know who the hell Short Fat Otaku is, chances are you've probably come across some of his videos. He's Canadian. He tries to come off as this sane, rational guy who thinks that both sides are wrong. However, the problem is this here. Some of the arguments that he uses against the right are just nowhere near the level of bad, or nowhere, not bad, but nowhere near the level of scrutiny as what those on the left is. I mean, think about it this way here. You tell an edgy joke about maybe blowing up a building or something like that, and then the other side comes back with something along the lines of child corn or something like that there, then obviously at the same time you're thinking to yourself, wow, these right here are some pretty bad people. However, it typically never goes that far. The right typically tends to make a joke about somebody's appearance or whatnot, and then the left comes back and they tell something extremely sexually explicit. Almost like that time when Vosh thought he was trying to be edgy when he basically said he thought it should be legal for somebody to have child porn on their computer. He was trying to be edgy, yes, it's true, but at the same time, though, you went all the way to that particular topic to justify your means. It just goes to show you that people are, in fact, sick. So please do me a favor and stop using this both sides bullshit, okay? The fact of the matter is that Dev, while he's made some great content, some great videos, and some videos that quite frankly are good, he still tries to use the both sides stick to justify himself, and it ends up, at the end of the day, just making him look like a bad faith actor. And this is kind of sort of what I mean. You see, when I brought this topic up, I said, what happens to the left going forward? What I'm really trying to tell you is this right here. What happens to the left when the left realizes that they can overrun the both sides people? The people who say both sides are bad eventually wake up and see that the left is really, to tell you the truth, the worst end. So at the end of the day, you got to turn public opinion against these people. First and foremost, let's go ahead and let Ace kind of explain this.
Bad is only going to result in emboldening people like Vosh. And for this reason, arguing both sides are equally bad is only going to result in escalating and increasing the risk of civil war. I believe now is the perfect time to summarize my own thoughts on this matter, as I have also made some tweets with regards to this situation. In this case, for example, I stated, quote, "My position has been that a peaceful victory to the culture war is the ideal and should be sought if feasible. Failing that, efforts should be taken to ensure any civil war is as decisively in my favor as possible to minimize the cost in blood and time that would inevitably result. Both of those possible outcomes require the exact same tactics and strategy."
The first half there was a bit of a response to Short Fat Otaku. I'll try to leave the full video in the description box. And basically what it was Dev going out of his way to try to stick with the whole both sides are bad shtick even after the failed assassination attempt. Well, now everybody in the world sees this. Now, we'll get more to that at the very end of the video because we're close to the end as it is. But still, though, using the both sides argument here does not really help the situation out. And if anything, it actually emboldens the left-wing side of the aisle because they automatically believe that there are people out there who, quite frankly, would not fight or fight back. Even though I have said on several occasions when it comes to that CW phrase, what would really and truly happen here in the United States is that America's biggest cities, which happen to be the most diverse sections of the country outside the Southeast, they would end up fighting each other. The Victimhood Coalition has its own little thing about what's good for the community, what's not good for the community, what can I get out of the government. I've talked this on several occasions. What are they doing with the black population? Let's run the whole voting rights thing, even though black people are already allowed to vote and already have the right to vote. I think black people are stupid by playing the whole voter ID bit, but at the end of the day, the only thing it does is just make one crowd look stupid when they're not. Hispanics, of course, it's about jobs, which is admirable. I don't fully agree with the immigration issue. I personally think the illegal immigration needs to stop. I've said this on multiple occasions, and we need a border wall, but still at the same time, I can at least admire that, even though I don't want them taking my job. I don't want them taking your job. But I can at least admire that because they're willing to actually work. Then you get to other groups that claim that they're oppressed. If anything, what will happen is at the end of the day, because people have placated and they've pandered to all these groups, after a while, one group's going to say, no, it's my benefit. No, it's my benefit. I get this first. That right there is how the CW starts. And no, it does not start between the right and the left. The radical left, they don't seem to understand this, but then again, they'll go back to Jonathan Haidt's book, The Righteous Mind. Right-wingers and moderates, we understand liberals, but liberals do not understand conservatives and moderates. And if I didn't say this already, it was Count Dankula who said in his video that this type of thing sets your ideology back 10 to 20 years. Now, there's something that I want to say before we go any further. And you're going to hear me say this in tomorrow's video when I do it on Destiny. I said a while back the best thing in the world that could have happened was for the radical left to be given a platform on national television. The reason why is because people could see exactly how crazy and lunatic these people are. Well, in reality, trying to be the worst thing for the radical left, and now having these reactions that they've had about the assassination attempt puts that first and foremost. If you really and truly want these people gotten rid of, or if you really and truly want these people, and by gotten rid of, I don't mean YouTube, I don't mean, acts. Okay, I want to go ahead and say that right now. What I mean is people not to look at them, because without their platforms, they're really nothing. All you got to do is just present their very bad ideas to normal people, and they will get rejected outright. But let's watch this last part.
The only way to possibly get the far left to back down is to make them view their situation as beyond hopeless, especially if they choose to escalate further. We must break their spirit if we are to prevent a war, and a great part of that is turning as much of the general public as possible against them. I also stated elsewhere, quote, shouting both sides are equally bad only serves to embolden those whose only principle is to win, as they will see it as a confirmation their true enemies are equally fringe and that the majority won't choose to fight them. It thus increases the chance of civil war. In other words, my position is very much one of hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
And that hopelessness scenario is starting to set in. These people are starting to see they have no chance, or at least there's some of them. Now, I'll talk more about that in the Destiny video tomorrow, because even some of the people who have supported him are starting to turn on him and basically saying, look, we don't want this. We don't want people to get killed. We don't want people to get hurt. However, somebody like Destiny's a special situation because he actually already angered the far left. Like I said, that right there will be coming up more in tomorrow's video. Emboldening the left side of the aisle is exactly what Short Fat Otaku is doing by playing the whole both sides argument, because he obviously has both left-wingers and right-wingers. But I've already kind of given you guys my thoughts on him in a previous video where I said that I think that Deb is that guy who just managed to avoid beatings. I said the same exact thing about Colin Cowherd, too. They're almost the same exact people. The only difference is that Deb just dresses it up and appears to be a little bit smarter. He's not as big of an idiot. I used the Colin Cowherd reference because of what he had said earlier this year about what was going on in America and how it was. He lives in California. He doesn't see any of the crap that we see on the news every day. But I think that Romania TV summed it up perfectly about what's about to happen.
We don't know. But after this event, I see right-wingers insanely energized. And I see actors and celebrities just coming out, yeah, I fully endorse Trump now. And you had never seen them before doing that. But now they're like in the open. It's like, no, if you don't agree with me, fuck you. Because the PR is gone. Like, it's no more, oh, this is the party of decent people and this is the party of the bigots. And again, I hate to say this. Imagine if the roles were reversed, right? Like, imagine if a prominent leftist had something like this happen to them. I mean, the level of censorship alone on social media would be astonishing. Like, all of a sudden, they would go after literally every single person that remotely criticized that politician in the last 2 months. And then they would start going after people and having, like, new terms of service on Twitter and YouTube and all these other places. And they would be like, we need to do more to crack down on extremism. And then they would have, like, all the government agencies focusing on extremism. Like, can you imagine? No, seriously. Just like, think what would happen if the roles were reversed. And the mainstream media, the articles, the headlines, and all of that. And the reality is that most people are aware now. Like, they know. So
the shroud has been lifted. People can finally see exactly what these people really and truly are all about. They were celebrating the potential death of a presidential candidate. That's who these people are, and people can finally see it. People know what the hell is coming. They know what these people are officially all about. That right there is what the hell V is trying to tell you. And of course, it's going to embolden one side of the aisle to go out and actually vote rather than do this right here the way that the left wants to do it. Which brings me to this last point. So what happens to the radical left itself? Well, the radical left only stood a chance in getting elected in the deepest blue areas of the country. The radical left only has their ideology go yet so far, and I think you're about to see that ideology begin to turn on itself, meaning that the radical left is probably going to find themselves in a position where they cannot hold office at all. it's one of the topics that I had going forward with the video that I had planned called Why Wokeness is Futile, or Why Representation is Not Representation, or It's Not What These People Think It Is. Well, actually, Why Representation is Not Power. That video will be coming out later on this year, but it may get put off because of the election. Because, look, when the left is not in power, that's actually when they're the most dangerous, because when they're in power, people get white-pilled by what it is that they do. Look at what's going on now. If anything, the left is a lot more black-pilled than the right is at this moment in time, because the left can actually see that people do not like their policies, hence the reason why it is that Trump is up in the polls so high. The fact of the matter is that everything that's coming out of the far left at this moment in time is just cope and copium. But now that the shroud has been lifted, people can finally see exactly what the hell these people really and truly are about. And that right there will lead to probably 2/3 of the country turning on them. But you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. I would love to hear what you guys have got to say. I'll have a follow-up video out tomorrow, which will be about that guy. That right there will be out tomorrow to go along with the video on cancel culture. So make sure you guys please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comment section, and I'll see you guys later.